Hi, I'm Camille.
And I'm Gretchen. Welcome to Starting Over. This is the podcast about helping you start over at any moment, at any time during the day. If you're feeling low, you're feeling off, you're feeling angry, whatever it is, this is a way for you to be able to learn how to mentally talk yourself into a different state of alignment.
That's right. And, I think people are on autopilot.
Yeah.
They just kind of are just going through their day, going through their life. And how do you really figure out what you got to start over in?
And I think about too, like, what are most people's mornings like? When your phone goes off for you to, with your alarm, are you automatically checking emails? Are you checking your social media? If that's the case, then what you're doing is you're programming your brain automatically for problems.
Yeah.
Especially, with emails when it comes to business, because you haven't let yourself get your mind into a place like, I'm settled. Here's what I want. It's like Camille and I always talk about, if you're going to go to a restaurant, you're going to figure out what you want to order and order because it's what you want, right? So how is your day any different? If you let emails, if you let conversations, if you let the local news or national news, if you let all that dictate how your morning is going to go or how you're projecting your day to go, it's basically like going to a restaurant and just going, I don't care, just bring me something.
Yeah. Well, and it's like you're again on autopilot. I think that scrolling and we're on our phones, it really is addictive. But we are so detached. We're not feeling anymore. We're not in tune. We're not listening. Mm-hmm. When I wake up in the morning, I'm the sunrise girl. I get out there, I'm naked eyes. I'm just letting my skin just absorb that red light. And I just wake up and thank you. I look at the sun. Hello. And I'm just out there saying, greeting the morning, greeting the sun. Even if it's cold or whatever, I'm still looking outside. I'm still facing east.
Yeah.
And I just I'm just in the present moment. I'm just feeling what am I going to create today? What's happening? What do I need to know?
Right.
And I'm listening.
What do I need to know instead of what do I need to do?
Yeah.
So, one of the things that I do is I wake up before I get up. Mm-hmm. And I will listen to whether it's affirmations or activations or, literally, you can go on YouTube and find a plethora of things. But basically, it's programming my mind into a space that's going to be open to receiving what I want. Because, whatever we are listening to, thinking about, we're going to follow that. So if you figure you're listening to news that's horrible, you're listening to people argue, or you're listening to that stuff, you're bringing more of that in. You and I were talking earlier, Camille has tuning forks. Mm-hmm. And so, a tuning fork, the vibration off of one sets off the others, right, and the others and the others. And it's an energy. It's a vibration. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing with, like, negativity is a lower frequency, and it's going to set off more and more and more. And so, if you find yourself that's the kickstart of your day, is complaining or listening to people complain or listening to horrible things on the news or things that happened overnight while you were asleep and now you're waking up to this. If that were nourishment for your body, would you take it? Or what would you do different? Yeah. So meditation, prayer, whatever you want to call it, writing down list of gratitude, affirmations, intentions, whatever it is, that's actually feeding your soul. Just like your sunshine is.
Yeah, and that's you starting over. It's like, I think the best time to start over is every morning.
Mm-hmm. It has to be.
Yeah, and so you can choose what you align with every morning as you start over.
And you really need to kind of get into a habit, a system of, before you go to bed, before you go to sleep, get off your phone and spend some time deciding, how do I want to sleep tonight? What do I want to think about? How do I want my morning to go? So your body starts reacting and starts programming itself to what you're telling it. You can either tell it or the world around you can. So if you're watching the news or a scary movie or, it's just something that's just really low frequency, low energy, and you go to sleep on that, you're going to wake up with those same feelings. And so I know, Camille and I talk about this, and I know with me being in a health situation, what I thought about and what I focused on became very real to me.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because I wasn't going to rely on just medication to heal me. I wanted to have every benefit that I could, including my mind. And so if you are not liking how your day is going, it's like when you see people that are rushing and they got to have their coffee in order to get their day going, and oh my gosh, they just have all these things they're going to do. What part of the menu are they choosing from?
Well, and if they're dependent upon that, right? They need something like that. And they can't be in a mood until they have their fix. And yeah, and I think you have to maintain your environment, but you're the one dictating all that. You're the one in charge of that. Yeah, you have choice over that.
Absolutely, because I was talking to my sweetheart, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm just awakened by phone calls because he deals with clients from different parts of the world," and I'm like, "Then you have to go to bed thinking how you want things to go, knowing that you're going to be waking up at 4 a.m. or whatever." You may not have time to meditate before that, but if you think about what you want beforehand, at least you're in a vibrational state where you can be like, okay, my mind is open to receiving direction, to receiving insight, to, a better conversations. And those are things that you can literally ask for. I desire to have good conversations. I desire to have positive relationships. I desire to, see abundance all around me.
Yeah.
One thing that I learned this week, and it's been kind of fun, I say to the universe, show me abundance. And I don't necessarily mean like I won the lottery.
Sure. It's not about money.
Yeah, but I mean, but literally I'll drive by a billboard and it'll say like 14.5 billion, blah, 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 and be like, that's abundance. Or now that it's spring, you can hear the birds.
Yeah.
Like birds are out. That's abundance. So start trying to figure out like, where is abundance around me? How is it speaking to me?
Yeah. Well, and I feel like, to be present as possible, just to be engaged with the moment. I feel like if we're dictated by something from last night or the past, if we get triggered, that's the moment when we can really allow ourselves to start over. And so if I think the moment is the most important thing, so we aren't dictated by something else. So if you find yourself getting hooked or triggered or upset, or driving in and someone's upset you, that's the moment when you really do need to start over and just go, okay, I'm gonna choose something different right now. Me being at choice is me starting over, and I'm not going to let that affect me today. I'm not going to let that take me down that rabbit hole. I'm going to stay in the moment. I'm going to say thanks for sharing, and I'm going to stay present. And you staying present chooses your mood. It chooses your mood set, your mindset, and then what's possible if you stay right here, right now. You're observant. You can actually see the abundance. You can see the love. You can see the great things that are happening for you right here, right now. And the gratitude. I mean, I really think people that stay in gratitude that's to me my first go-to is, what can I be grateful for right now? Because in the morning it's like, oh my gosh, there's so many things I got to get done. I got to check with. Stop. What are you grateful for right now? And that always resets me. If I need to reset, that's my start over. My go-to is gratitude.
Gratitude is actually the highest energy there is.
I love that.
And so if you think about it, gratitude is not just something we're supposed to do. It's actually calling in what we want. So the universe responds to emotions or feelings.
Yes.
It also responds to thoughts. Okay. But you have to realize too, like, just because you may say like, I am wealthy, I am worthy, I am, if you don't feel it, the universe...
Just words.
It's just words.
Yeah, it responds to your vibration. Yeah. So if you're present and you're allowing that feeling, so when you just, again, you vibe with it, you're feeling it, that's exactly what you start over into, right?
I used to listen to like Good Morning America while I was getting dressed because I worked in a news format show, and I wanted to be responsible and be alert. What I found out was I was becoming tense. I was becoming on edge because I had already filled so much of me before I ever got to work with all the terrible things that had happened overnight. So now what I do is, after I have my morning time before I ever get out of bed, while I brush my teeth, you figure you've got 60 seconds. Well, I don't know if you have an electric toothbrush.
2 minutes,
that's your time to start going over. You can just look in your bathroom and be like, I'm so thankful that I have a toothbrush and I have toothpaste. And oh my gosh, I have products for my hair and I have good things for my skin. And just start finding things
In that moment.
in that moment. Or when you're in the shower, start just literally thinking, okay, the water coming down on me from the shower head is like blessings. It's like abundance. What are some things, if this were all, every drop was a part of my abundance, what am I blessed with abundance with,
Yeah.
I don't listen to music. I figure if I'm going to be in a captivated spot of like doing my hair or whatever, I'm going to listen to something that I can focus on, because let's be honest, women, we are kind of automatic. We know how to do our hair or whatever.
Or your makeup.
Yeah, or shave your skin, if you're
yeah.
a guy. But start finding things that, maybe it's our podcast, or maybe it's another speaker or something like that you just literally are like, okay, I just fed my soul
Yeah.
from the diner of happiness.
Yeah.
And now I'm ready to start my day. And what you will find is, Camille is so good at this, when you start your day that way, things start unfolding the way you want them to. And then all of a sudden you're going to realize, like, I actually have this power.
We really do.
I can do that.
We really can start over in our lives. We really can find a whole new life experience. And look, if you decide, if you look at your life situation, if you want to start over with your health, if you want to start over with your relationship, if you want to start over with, pick something a little simple or pick something hard. I don't care.
Right.
But just decide you're going to start over. Just the decision, and then see yourself well in that area. See yourself completely started over. How are you going to start over? And then make a plan around that. And maybe this is what you do every morning, is you start over in that area of your life every morning. And how's that going to look? What is it you're going to do? Let us know how you're going to do that. What are you going to do, right?
Right.
Why not?
And even, let's say you have a good morning.
Yeah.
And then you go to work and your boss yells at you, or you check an email. And you go backwards. Okay, what Camille and I are talking about is start over then.
Yeah.
So what are some tools you can do? One of the, if you remember in dance, pivoting is where you abruptly take a turn, right? And so I've learned, like with me, is, okay, I don't like that news, but what I can know is, okay, if I change things around to a state of gratitude.
Yeah.
Even if I'm like, oh my gosh, what exactly in this moment am I grateful for?
Yeah.
It could be something as simple like, I love the gum in my purse. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You're changing energy, you know?
But you're committed to not staying the same in that rut.
Yeah.
I think that's the secret of this, is that you know you've got the power to start over. You know you can shift anytime, anywhere, and that you have choice. That's the truth, is you have choice in how you can start over.
You not only have choice, but we're a really big proponent of who are you communicating with. So let's say there's been a family drama that has occurred, and every time you see a certain person, that's all they talk about. You are staying in that lower vibration, just simply because of the subject matter and that person that's always talking about it. So if you find yourself, and I've been guilty of this, so I'm not pointing the finger, if you find yourself that is the conversation you're always having, because it's, we as humans, we get comfortable and we're like, oh, did you hear what happened? Or did you know what this person did? Or now look what's happening here, I found that out with cancer. If I constantly talked about how sick I was, I'm going to stay sick.
Yes.
I'm going to stay sick. So I became in control, just like you said. I'm in control of that conversation about my body. I'm either adding to the conversation or I'm not talking about it. And it's the same thing with gossip. It's the same thing with any kind of negative talk that you're doing. You don't, like Camille said, you have choice. You don't have to stay in that conversation.
It doesn't have to mean anything. But the more you, woe's me, or oh my gosh, you're empowering that. You're building that subject, right?
Yeah.
So, and again, if you're the victim, oh my gosh, could you believe they did to me? Now you're still marinating in that. Well, what if that's being done to, like for you, not to you? So that's the secret of it, is you have to reframe it. It doesn't have to be bad, sick, and wrong. It could actually be, well, maybe I don't need them. Maybe I don't need that. I mean, well, this is exactly what I need.
And how many times have we gone through life that we look back and we go, that actually was a blessing?
Right.
So even in the moment when things are of trial or whatever that might be, you can always look at it and be like, okay, I'm going to look back at this and realize this was actually a good thing. We were
Yes.
talking earlier about somebody that we know that's going through some really heavy family stuff.
Yeah.
And Camille and I both instantly were like, you know what? This is probably the best thing.
Absolutely.
This is a purging of something that wasn't good to begin with.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think we as adults can look at it and be like,
Well, these people are terrible for you anyway, but this is going to be the
right,
best thing you
right.
ever
But
did
this
was
is
get
like
away.
you're,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
you're especially if you're asking for freedom and happiness or whatever, boy, you just
getting
don't
it.
know how it's going to all come about. And sometimes that just means a good cleaning of, you know, your community or your house or whatever that might be.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, we'd love to help you all out. So if you guys want to start over in your work or in your relationships or in your own life, you can reach out to us and give us an email, get on our website. You can book a session with us at startingovercommunications.com. Please do that and get a hold of us.
All right, everybody. We're so thankful that you're here. We will see you next time with Starting Over. Have a good week, everybody. Bye.
Bye.